I was browsing the IMVU shop the other day and came across an item derived from the SOB Ladi body. Out of curiosity, I decided to use the physics test anime product to see if the creator had set up the physics properly on the body. Unfortunately, they didn't, and of course, this was completely understandable. To the creators of such items, while I'm of course appreciative of the use of the Ladi body to make your creations, I would like to re-emphasize a certain point when it comes to making rigged clothing and accessory items for bodies with shape physics compatibility like the Ladi body. Here's the tip. For all SOB 3D and SOB bodies with shape physics compatibility alternatives, you will notice the letters SB appended to the end of the product's name. This SB is an indicator showing that the item is shapes physics compatible and thus pairs better with items with shape physics compatibility. The nomenclature may vary per creator or may even be omitted outright. So when in doubt, it's best to test with an action that supports shape physics. You'll find the link to one of such products in this video's description. And for good measure, let's recap the process of making items for both default and shape physics compatible bodies using Blender. You'll start out by creating your own 3D clothing or accessory object with the desired body as a reference, supposing you do not have one already. Once done, import the item into the blend file with the body, scale down and apply transforms afterward if necessary. Here are the steps for the default process. Select the base body. Shift select the item you intend to copy the weight to. Press Ctrl plus Tab and select weight paint. Go to the weights menu and click transfer. Expand the pop-up transfer mesh data menu and set the vertex mapping to nearest face interpolated and the source layer selection to by name. This is what gives your object the weights. You will now need an armature to test the results of the weights. With your item selected, go to the modifiers tab and add an armature modifier. Make sure to select the avatar armature as the object and not the avatar armature shapes. Tab back into weight paint mode, switch to vertex select mode, press A on your keyboard to select all vertices and navigate to the weights menu, then click smooth to smooth out the weight transfer result. This step is of course optional, but it does help smooth out the harsh intersections between weights. Change the subset to all groups and increase the iterations as desired. I recommend not going above 4. Lastly, click on the weights menu one last time and then select limit total. What this does is that it reduces the influence of weights per vertex to only 4 bones, which is 2 bones beneath IMVU's current 6 bones per vertex limit, ensuring that your rigged item is well within the IMVU engine limit. Tab back into object mode, select your item, then shift select the armature object, then go to File, Export, FBX. Ensure to check Selected Objects and uncheck Add Leaf Bones and Animation. If instead you'd prefer to export using Cal3D, link to the Cal3D exporter add-on in the description. Then, still with the same item selected, you go to File, Export, IMVU, Cal3D Export. Ensure to check only XMF and XRF. You may check Copy Textures to copy your material image textures to the export folder. Now you are done with the Blender parts. To import into IMVU, first open up the guide that comes with the Devkit. Navigate to the product chart section so you can find the product ID of the product you want without having to swim through the creator's entire catalog. What we want in the default case is the Ladi default body product with a product ID of 730-68344. We copy the ID and then paste it into the search bar in IMVU Studio, limiting our filter to PID. Of course, you click derive at this point. I assume you know how to move on from here, but just so we're on the same page, once your scene is loaded, go to import FBX. If you exported as Cal3D, you'd click Import Assets. Select the FBX you exported. Since this is a dress item, set the mesh ID to 5. You'll find other case-by-case recommendations for mesh IDs in the Import Procedures section of the guide. Import all materials. Do not import animations unless needed. Click Import once done. Your product is set. Testing with the physics test action product, again, link in the description, you'll find that neither the pec nor the glute area moves. They will only move if we set it up to, which we didn't with the first process. So here's the second process for shape physics compatible items. We'll be using the same item as before, but no weights are on it yet. Make sure that in your blend scene, your BPSK Maker add-on panel is open. It should be open by default if you've installed the add-on. However, if not, simply look through your side panel options until you find BPSK Maker, then click on it to open it. If the add-on is not installed, the link to it is in this video's description. With your item selected, click Transfer Weights. This will transfer the physics-related weights to your item. Then go to Modifiers tab and add an armature modifier. This time, you will be adding the Avatar Armature Shapes modifier. Select the Avatar Armature Shapes modifier and put it in pose mode. Then select your item and tab into weight paint mode. You should now be able to control the physics areas of your item. In weight paint mode, it is recommended to smooth the weights prior to making the shape keys. So use vertex select mode, select all vertices, then smooth, just as we did earlier in the default version. At this point, there isn't a need to limit total. Tap back into object mode, scroll down on your BPSK Maker panel till you notice the last set of bow names. Ensure that LF glutes, RT glutes, LF pec, and RT pec are checked. You now click Make Shape Keys. What's happened now is that the weights you've given your item in the pec and glutes areas have now been converted to shape keys. This is important because the default IMVU Avatar Armature doesn't support those bones natively. After that, delete both armature modifiers, then click on Delete Vertex Groups. It is important at this point to grab one of the physics bones and move it around to test that the physics weights have been successfully converted to shape keys. Once verified, you may now transfer weights and export as normal. Select the base body, then shift select your item. Go to weight paint mode, weights, transfer. Ensure the mapping is still nearest face interpolated and the source layers selection is still by name. You can then smooth and limit total. Lastly, add an armature modifier with the avatar armature as the object. Then you can select your item, shift select the armature, and then export either FBX or Cal3D. Ensure the base products you derive from support shapes physics compatibility. In this case, we'll be using the Ladi Shapes body with product ID 730-73038. Import your FBX or Cal3D setup. Then, testing with the physics test action product, you will notice that there is now movement in the pecs and glutes. Make sure not to derive from a shape physics compatible base item when you intend to import a default item. That will cause glitches like the one shown on screen should you use the physics test action. As always, your questions are more than welcome in the comment section. Thank you for watching.